Good afternoon, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi there. I want to confirm you can see my screen right now.
Yes, we can.
Perfect. All right, we are here at the top of the hour. Looks like we may have a few people here that are still getting joined in. So I'll just kind of go over a couple things for today. So what we'll go over in today's virtual user group is just some of the new features that have come out. Last time when we met, we specifically spoke just about projects, which was a new feature that we put in. This time we're going to talk about some new AI functionality we have in, but also go and talk about a few of the other major new enhancements that have gone in. And as always, as we go through this, if you have questions, just feel free to either raise your hand there through Teams or just find a spot and jump in, and we'll make sure that we can answer those. Keep these fairly loose in terms of the content and structure, so just feel free to jump in there. And because we are quarterly as well, I just looked here at our calendar. Our next one is going to be August 21st. You should have that on your calendar, but we'll just kind of get through the summer, and then as things are settling back out, we'll go ahead and show you some of our next new features at that meeting. So I'm going to go ahead and get started here. So as I said, lots of new features that have come in from last time. I'm going to go over one of the questions we had from the last meeting, go over some of the new enhancements of the homepage, go and look at the workflow build with AI, and then take a look at some of the other new features that have come in since our last bug. And then we'll close out with some of the feature tips and education. And if we should have some time at the end, and if you have any questions or would like us to go into detail on anything that you may have a particular question on, feel free to ask about that as well. So one of the questions that we did have from the last bug is why a person couldn't see libraries, projects, calendars, or to-dos. And those are all newer items that we've introduced over the past few months, but it is not something that's pushed out automatically to your organization. The only way you're able to go and see those items is if a TransIT admin within your organization turns those items on. So if you're an admin, you'd go into your organization settings, then into preferences, and there are these 4 menu buttons here. So you can decide which of the 4 or all of them that you would want to turn on, the library, the projects menu, calendar, or to do. And if you turn it on library or projects, you'll see those show up here as icons. And if you turn on your calendar or to do, they show up here over by your name. So hopefully, since the last meeting, you've turned on your projects and are really starting to see that and get excited about that. Library as well. We haven't talked about that in a whole lot of detail. Maybe at the next meeting, we'll spend a little more time talking about exactly how you can use the library. We'll come in with some more use cases. But I really encourage you or have your admins go and turn on all of these. We really think these are good functions. Reason we haven't turned them on is just because not every organization is ready to adopt things at the same time. And so we want to allow you to be able to do that at your own pace. The next item that we're going to talk about is a new homepage. So by now you all have seen this view, and it's really just a nice new clean interface for when you first get into TransIT. And so it's giving you these tiles that allows you to see tasks and activities that are due by you for your organization. So you're able to see project requests, to-dos, notifications that you may have assigned to issues. Many of these are the same things that you saw before, but this is just a nicer, cleaner interface, and it's easier for you to navigate. One thing you can do as well here under assigned issues, you see these two here, but if you had lots and lots of assigned issues, you can click on this as a hyperlink. You can know it's a hyperlink because it has that little hand next to it. When you do that, it allows you to go in there and see a larger list. So now you can navigate and work directly from this homepage without having to sort of go through all those individual icons at the top and try and figure out what you have assigned to you. As a user, this is the role that you get. If you're an admin, you have a slightly different role, or sorry, slightly different view. You'll have this active users here at the top, so you can see who's been active in the past hour, the past 10 minutes, and things like that. And because I came in as an admin under Make Solutions, I have lots of activities and test rounds and issues that are all assigned to me. So as I mentioned before, being able to click on this hyperlink, say for assigned issues, opens up and shows me lots of assigned issues that I have to go do. So I have lots of work that I need to go and take care of within TransIT here in order to sort of clear out my schedule. But I think we put this in about a month or so ago, so everybody should have seen this new look. So hopefully you are enjoying sort of this new refreshed look. We really think it looks kind of cool here on this front page as you come in. But the thing we really want to talk about today, though, that we're really excited about is our workflow build with AI. Now, one of the things that I've always noticed when I talk with our clients, I also do a lot of things from a sales perspective, is there's always this apprehension about going and doing all the build to put into TransIT in order to use it or have that content or be able to have that content you can go and use for training. And I won't lie, it takes a lot of work. You have to be able to build these workflows. You have to be able to build these test scripts. And if you are working with a vendor, they often are coming in with some sort of content, but it's not in a format that you can go and just put directly into TransIT. It requires some sort of translation to get in there. And now with this workflow build with AI, we have an ability to basically take all sorts of different types of content that you have and get those quickly and easily into TransIT and into a workflow. So this is one of them here. If you're familiar with the workflows build workflow tool, it's still very similar, but what you're getting now is a build with AI button up here. And when you click that, it's opening this box over here, and it allows you to put in different instructions as you would from if you ever use ChatGPT or Claude or any of those other AI models. You basically give it instructions or directions on what you want it to go do. So I'm actually going to jump in and do a couple of those right now. I'm going to kick them off, and then we'll come back here and show a little bit more. So I'm coming over here into TransIT. I have a split screen because I'm actually going to kick two of them off at once. So the first one I'm going to work on is processing a project-related invoice. If I click Build with AI, this window slides over. It gives me an ability to add instructions. So for this one, this is the workflow that I want to get into TransIT. So old way used to be you would basically recreate this. You would add your boxes, your decision points, and plug all that information in. workflows is easy enough as it is, so it wouldn't take a whole lot of time. I'm going to say this is probably 20 minutes worth of work, but we can shorten that down significantly. So I've got this picture here. What I'm going to do is just take a screenshot of that. I'm going to take the swim lanes there. So I've created a copy. And when I come back over here, I just do a Control V. And you can see it does an image.png into my file here. And the next thing I need to do is give it instructions on what I want it to do exactly. So you don't have to watch me type. I have this in another window, so I'm just going to give it instructions here. Build a workflow from this diagram. Create the swim lanes for each of the roles. Connect the arrows at the beginning and end of the task. And then if there's diagrams, include yes or no text. If I'm comfortable with this, I can come down here and click Apply with AI. Now, what you can't do with this is go off of this particular screen. We need to leave this running in this window. So I'm going to leave this here, and it's telling you basically it's applying this now, and it's been running for 15 seconds, and it'll continue to type up. And it tells me what I've written here based off of this image. While this is running, I'm actually going to come over here and start another one so you can see this as well. So we can take those workflow images or Visio diagrams and plug those in. Or what we can also do is take text. So over here, I have an invoice payment processing script, basically. And this is a training guide for how you go and do invoice payment processing within Infor. So steps 1 through 10 are here. Again, so you don't have to watch me type, I've put in here just the instructions that I want. So I'm going to click here and scroll down, take this entire document, this entire training guide here, and come over here. And on this right side, again, build with AI. And in the instruction box here, I'm going to paste that in so you can see all my steps are there. And at the beginning, I have my build process that I want, that I'm telling our AI guide that I want to do. And so now I'm going to go and hit apply with AI. Now I have them both running. Anybody who's ever thrown anything challenging at an open AI engine knows that it does take a little while for this stuff to run. So usually it takes about 2 minutes for either of these to run. So while that's running, I'm just going to flip back over here to our slides so we can talk about some of the other ways that we can get data in through our AI engine. So we talked about copy pasting training materials from Word. That was the one that I showed you on the right side. So you just copy all that into your instruction box. And I also showed you being able to paste from an image, and that's the Control V, and then it just shows down here that we've pasted an image. You can also upload images right now. So you can do the browse and find an image. So if I wanted to, I could have browsed for that same image that I pasted in and done it that way as well. Likewise, if you would just like to dictate out exactly what you want that workflow to be, you can go into the instruction box and essentially just write your instructions on what you would be doing from step by step through a particular workflow. We also have an ability from Excel. If you were to go into Excel, you could copy paste specific cells that you wanted. And as long as you make sure you have sort of all your columns, your actions, and your outcomes, if you have some sort of a training material that's created in Excel, you can copy and then paste those into the instruction box. The key to being able to paste in Excel is you need to, when you right click in here, paste as plain text. And it's going to look quite like a jumbled up mess when you put it into there, but it's going to be able to parse that out and be able to turn those into workflows based on those testing materials as well. I would caution you with some of the Excel. I know sometimes when we make training materials, they're hundreds and hundreds of lines long. I would probably recommend that you parse that out based on smaller workflows. So just pick smaller portions and create those individual workflows. You don't want to try and create one workflow of an entire scenario script front to back. It's going to be massive. It may run forever. So parse that out if you're doing some sort of patient admission, take the input through the ED, floor transfer, the floor admission, all the sort of separate workflows. So just kind of where it makes to be a natural break from a workflow perspective, I do that as well with Excel. Same really with building any sort of workflows. Again, just kind of showing you from an Excel document perspective, you can copy paste these individual cells in. What also works is taking a screenshot of Excel and pasting that in and giving it the instructions to parse this Excel document out into a workflow. So it's a really powerful tool in the ways that we can go and run it and use it. And so now we can take a look at it. So both of these have finished over here. We can see AIQ is finished, so it's green here. Changes have been applied. What we do here is we come down here and say reload updated workflow. So I'm going to do that. I will close this box down here. Quite tiny right now, so I'll zoom in just a little bit so we can see. It does an okay job sometimes at the arrows. Sometimes are better than others. But let me pull this up so you can kind of see what it's done with this here. So pull this over here so we can look at it. So it's basically just tried to copy this as closely as possible. Still kept the swim lane, so project manager, purchaser. It's kept that, kept our same decision boxes, and then sort of ran through the arrows with each of these. Now, there is a little bit of cleanup we'll have to do just with arrows, and depending on how obsessive you are about keeping things clean, you may move a couple of these things over here to just make sure that we align things appropriately. But the fact that it took about 2 minutes to update this workflow versus I'm estimating 20 to go build it is much quicker and easier to do. I can very easily move a couple of these buttons around and make sure everything is good versus sort of rebuilding this whole thing from scratch. And as you go through, AI will try and build these as best it can. It does try and clean it up as much as possible. So it will try and give a little bit of standard across the workflows versus some that may have just a lot of different variances within them. So that's what this one looks like. Let me pull, oops, don't need to pull that over. I'm going to pull my window over. Pull this over a little bit. I'm going to go reload this updated workflow. And here is this workflow. And again, just to remind you what this one looked like, so we can take a look at it. These are the steps that we have here, accessing invoice workbench, reviewing invoice details. Now here's where it gets really cool, is you can see here, these are our orange boxes here. And if you are familiar at all with workflows, you know that the orange boxes mean that that is a module behind there. So if I click on that, the AI tool has basically said, I recommend this step here should have these details to create a module behind it. So it says this module should access finance, accounts payable, invoice workbench, search for invoices using the vendor, et cetera, these 5 action steps here. And I'll pull this up, and I apologize for kind of jumping back and forth, but I do want you to kind of be able to see what that looks like. So it's saying, basically, based on the steps that are outlined in this training guide, I think you need to go build this module behind this step here. So we can look at it. Oops. I think this looks good. So what I'm then going to do is click on this, and you'll see we get this the gear icon, which we've always had before. We can click on that now, and we can create a new module for that, basically called Access Invoice Workbench, or you can rename it to whatever you want. But this is what this system is recommending we name it. Likewise, because we know this is an N4 workflow, it's filtered our modules to N4. So we could say we want to associate to an existing module that's out there. I'm going to go ahead and create a new module though, so you can see what happens. We click Save. It comes through, again, gives us an ability to add further description, vendor. If we needed to add a category or change the project, we can do that as well. this case, we'll just go ahead and hit save. And now we're back to this familiar box that we have here from a module perspective, which we have our actions. Now, if there are outcomes associated with this, it will put those in there. With this training guide, there wasn't really outcomes to look for it. So if you want to have outcomes with this, especially if you turn it into a training script, you'll need to go plug your outcomes into here. So I won't do that for now, but I did just want you to be able to kind of see what that would look like for this instance. So I'm going to go ahead and close that. So we know this one's been done. But if we were to click on review invoice details here, again, we can review the steps that the AI engine has brought in for us. And if we want to go and create a new module for that, we can go ahead and do that as well. We have received feedback, early feedback from some of our partners that said, you know, I would like to just be able to sort of do a accept all modules. So we are working on getting some functionality similar to that added. So instead of going accepting 8 modules individually, you can just sort of do a bulk accept for each of those. But as we go through, you can see it's basically gone through and parsed out our training material. It's put in our decision boxes. Is the invoice on hold? Yes or no? And put those into the appropriate swim lanes with the appropriate arrows. This one doesn't really need too much work in terms of cleaning up. Of course, it's pretty straightforward. So this is basically what this looks like. And again, that's probably 20 to 30 minutes worth of work. And we just got that done in 2 minutes instead. So I think this is such a game changer in terms of you're starting a new project, a vendor comes in with a bunch of standard workflows that you need to start from. We can go, or you can go and upload those workflows in a matter of minutes, essentially, and have them ready to go. So you're not reliant on the vendor or the vendor's tools to be able to see those workflows as you begin to localize them for your organization. So it's such a quick way to get that in there. And of course, the idea behind workflows is you turn those into test scripts as well. So you'd be able to then go into scripts and create a test script based on this workflow once you sort of have gone through and accepted these modules, added any sort of outcomes, and just did your final cleanup on it. So things that used to take hours are now down to minutes at this point. I will pause here for a second. I don't know if anybody has questions, how we work through modules, go through workflows, how we use AI, any capabilities or limitations that you may all have. I know certainly many people are familiar with any of the AI tools that are out there today, large language models. So if you're familiar with being able to sort of put in the correct prompts, that obviously the correct prompts help drive the creation of these workflows as well. So if you have any questions as you get into it or your team gets into it, certainly reach out to support and we can make sure that we kind of can help guide you through that. And of course, if you see any issues, let us know about that as well too. But we've been using it for quite a while and we're excited about this and continuing to add additional functionality into our AI capabilities. As we move on, there's been a number of other updates that have gone in since our last bug that we wanted to make you aware of. One of the first ones we'll talk about is from a timeline perspective. So if you are using plans right now, it is possible to turn a plan into a timeline. So I'll just go out here, show everybody that. So I'm in plans right now. So this is really helpful if you want to track this more on a Gantt view, or you want to be able to track it more towards a traditional project plan versus within a plan. So the idea is you can go ahead and right click on any of these plans here and go and create a timeline from that plan. And when you go and do that, it's going to ask you what are the steps you'd like to do. You can change any of the projects, start, end dates, things like that. And when you hit save, it's going to drop you into that timeline immediately here. And any of the resources come over. If you have any percent completes, which this one already did, you'll see that those come through. Start and finish dates are there also. And then the category of those particular changes. So one of the things that this is really cool that you can use it for is if you have Microsoft project files, there's really no way to get a Microsoft project file exported into anything else except Excel. So if you have Microsoft project files that are being sent to you or you want more people to see, you can export those to Excel, import them into plans, and then convert that plan to a timeline. Now, I know that seems clunky, but because there's really no other way to convert an MPP file into something else, that is one extra step in there, but it allows you to now get those Microsoft project plans into a timeline where anybody on your team can go and see them and be assigned tasks and work those tasks appropriately. So just wanted everybody to be able to see that from a plans perspective. Again,
Hey, Brian,
take any plan, right-click it.
a better use case would be not Microsoft Project, because we still do have the import from Microsoft Project directly into timelines, but it would be Smartsheets or anybody else, any other tool that doesn't have an MPP that you have in Excel. That's the better use case, is to put it to a plan first and then a timeline from there.
Yep. Yeah. Thank you.
No problem.
And now that you'll be in workflows, lots and lots, building lots of workflows using the AI modules, we do have filters added to the workflow dashboard view. So you're able to filter across categories, projects, workflows, vendors, etc. So it's not just sorting, we also now have that filter view for you as well. And the script issue or the script update, I will show that here in a minute as our featured tip, but we do have some improvements to the way that our script header details are being used. And then from a testing perspective, so it used to be when you would add an issue to a round of testing, what would happen is it would pop up here with this box, but you wouldn't actually be able to assign it to a particular person. It would save that issue, and then you'd have to open up the issue and then go and put who you wanted it to be assigned to. Now, if you are working through a round of testing and you find an issue and you know who you need to assign it to, you can immediately assign it to that person without having to go through the extra step of going into the issues database and then going and assigning it to the person. Now, obviously, if you don't know who to assign it to, you can leave that blank. It's not a required field, but we do have that new capability, and it should help from a workflow perspective and reducing sort of the number of clicks that it takes as you're running through your round of testing there. And in plans, we have added some additional capabilities around the change log or the audit log. So now if you have custom reference lists that are built in a plan in any of your columns, if you're making changes to those particular columns in that reference list, it will now save that to the change log. So you'll be able to go back and see that. Before that wasn't there, so those changes weren't being tracked. And then finally, from an org setting perspective, there's a few sites I know that have this set up, but we have what's called the scheduler dashboard. So if you would like to get a daily, weekly custom report sent to you for upcoming tasks in a plan or a timeline, you have an ability to do that, and you can send it to yourself or send it to whoever you would like to be able to see those type of events that are coming up. We've cleaned up the wording to make it more clear about exactly what it is we're doing. So basically we'll include activities that are starting soon or activities that are finishing soon. So if you're a project manager or you're accountable for a project or an event that's going on, it's nice to be able to have this say, hey, Brian, in the next X number of days, these activities are starting, and also these activities are due to finish. So that gives you some heads up to say, oh, I might need to go talk to Patty because she hasn't completed that task yet, and it looks like it's a 5-day task, but it's 20% complete. Or I'm going to go let Travis know because there's an event coming up. It's going to start in 2 days. I just want to make sure that he remembers and is on board with that. Used to only go out to 5 days and now goes to 7 days. So you can have basically a week's notice before any of that starts. This isn't complicated to go set up, but there are a lot of boxes along the way. So if you would like to be able to set that up for your org, go ahead and reach out to support. We can go help you configure that the first time, make sure it looks good, make sure that we can kick off a couple test rounds so you can actually see what that will look like. I'm sorry, I'm saying test rounds. I don't really mean our actual round of testing, but we can kick off one of these jobs here to make sure it looks correct for you. And also for anybody who's not in Eastern time zone, our scheduler job history report is now going to show the correct times. Before, if you were in Eastern or Mountain or Pacific times, there was a discrepancy between the times that we're showing versus the actual times that were on those tasks. So we have cleaned up that as well. And for our feature tip, I'm going to go back to our script header details. So before, when you would do script header details, or you'd put in patient MRN or FIN and patient name and gender, etc., you'd go up to the script header detail icon and enter the information there. It wasn't too difficult to go do, but it also kind of got you out of the flow of what you needed to be doing. So now what we have is an ability to basically do this within our action or outcome box. So you can see here, open patient name, have the little icon next to it, knowing that we haven't completed that yet. What we can do now instead is say patient name, and we can do a colon after that, and we can do ZZZ test Samantha. And it allows us basically to plug that information in line instead of having to go up here to our script header. Now, if I go up there now, you can see patient name now has ZZZ test Samantha. So it's definitely a time saver if you spend a lot of time building your test scripts. So you basically enter what your variable is first, and then you, such as patient name, and then you enter the variable details next. And so to do that, you would just type in your open square bracket. And when you do that, it gives you sort of all the options that are there. So if I wanted that to be age, I know it doesn't necessarily make sense in this box, but I can do age, oops, and then do a colon, and I can say 50, square out the bracket, and it will plug that in there for me. It should be, if I were to go up here, yep, age 50. So definitely a time saver. So you're not having to sort of run around and figure out exactly everywhere that you have variable details. You can just plug those directly in there now. We are working on getting all of our education videos out into these different areas. So we do have our YouTube videos out there. And so if you ever need to see those, they'll be there. We are working on creating additional materials from an education perspective, because we know we are always putting lots of new things out there. So we want to make sure that we have that available to you in a timely manner. Over the next few weeks, there is probably going to be lots and lots of new functionality that's going to be coming out around projects. As we've listened to our clients, there's a lot of additional features and functionalities around project and project intake. So we will make sure that we send that out either to the admins for further distribution, or in our monthly newsletters. So keep an eye out for that in order to see additional information that comes out around that. I know it only took about 30 minutes to get through that, but I am more than happy to sort of jump back into anything. If anybody wants to see anything else, doesn't necessarily have to be what we covered today, but it can be other things that you may just have questions about. Comments, more than happy to sort of jump into anything else with the group.
Right, it's Sandy from Baptist.
Hey, Sandy.
Hey, we are just now starting to roll out TransIT little by little to the rest of our organization, so just IT.
Mhm.
And we were showing them plans the other day, and they were asking about how to essentially use subtasks and plan. So you would have like an overarching item and then several subtasks that would need to be completed prior to the main item being completed. You have a way to essentially recreate that functionality?
So we don't necessarily have subtasks, but we do have dependencies that we can plug in from a plan perspective. So it would basically say, so you can actually see this here. We have dependencies, which basically says we can't go on to task 7 until task 6 is completed. And you'll see that we have these little red hands here that are stopping you from going on or completing those tasks because we haven't completed the tasks before. So it's not subtasks as in it's tabbed in and like this is set here as a sort of like a title, but we do have the ability within plans to go and have those dependencies.
Okay.
But
Now,
I think our general recommendation, Sandy, is to use plans for checklist type activities. And if you need that parent-child relationship, that you would use timelines for that instead.
yeah, so
I guess there's been a little bit of a kind of a gray area when it comes to defining what's a plan and what's a timeline. And the way it's been explained to me is that timeline is more for like that Gantt chart versus a checklist, right? So like if my plan is kind of like my to-do list, I think the dependency kind of captures more of that subtask thing than the timeline would.
yeah, and we can work with you more too, Sandy. And you certainly do get the Gantt view with timelines. But as you assign your resources to this, they have the ability to update their individual tasks here. So, you know, they do have a little bit of overlap in both, but yes, a plan is definitely more just like a checklist of specific things that need to get done. And I think a timeline can be a little more powerful in terms of being able to manage multiple tasks, projects, dependencies, things like that, because you can link them as well too. So if one moves out, the others will move out. You can have successors and things like that also. And if you want, we can set up some time. I know Tamara's worked with you before. If we would need to set up some time to say, here's our use cases, maybe we can help provide you some guidance on where we would use a plan versus a timeline.
Okay.
Great.
And then I did join a little bit late, so I kind of came at the very tail end of what you were going over with the workflows. You don't necessarily have to like go over the whole thing all over again, but could you just kind of walk me through what it was, what the changes?
Yeah, absolutely. And I've got two pulled up here. Let's pull this over here so we can see it. So what we have now is an ability to build workflows with AI. Okay. And if you go into workflows, you'll see this build with AI button here. It allows you to add instructions or about basically the workflow that you want to have built. And you can paste in instructions that you have from training materials. You can paste in test scripts that you may have. In fact, actually, one of the training materials I used, Sandy, was one of your Excel test scripts that you sent me, and I was able to sort of pull that into a workflow. or you can take Visio diagrams that you have and paste those in as images. And when you hit apply with AI, it runs for about 2 minutes, and then our engine will basically spit out a workflow for you. And if we have enough information behind it, it will go and create modules for you as well. This module I actually have accepted, or it will basically say this: AI is saying, we believe this is what a module should look like for you with the steps behind that module. And then you can go ahead and click on the gear icon and say, I'm going to create a new module based on that, and hit save. Gives you the information there, and then you can hit save again. And now it's gone from a proposed module to an accepted module that you can get to from anywhere else within TransIT now as well.
Okay. Is there a size limitation? So you've seen, I don't know if you've seen some of our larger multi-day test scripts.
Yeah, and this, I did mention that. I said with Excel, a lot of times, because some of those scripts can be hundreds of lines long, I would recommend breaking those up, because you wouldn't build a workflow that would be multi-day anyway. You would build a workflow that would encompass sort of individual steps within that scenario. So I would just either take screenshots or copy out of that Excel spreadsheet what you would consider a typical workflow: the patient admission, transfer to the floor, the surgical visit, the post-op visit, whatever you would sort of have as a natural break from a workflow perspective. I would copy paste those from your multi-day testing scenario and build those as workflows. And then we can rebuild those on the back end as scripts, as a scenario script.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
And is this out yet, or is this coming soon?
It is out. Yeah, it's in production right now for you to go play with. So if you were to log in today, you'd be able to see that build with AI right now.
And is that for new workflows or any existing ones?
Sorry, for new what?
Workflows, or does it apply to any existing ones as well?
It applies to any existing ones. Yep. Yeah, I will say one thing that what you can do with this is you can use it to modify existing workflows. But if you were to say, oh, I want you to add a step between select invoices for payment run and review payment proposal, it's 9 times out of 10 quicker to go move the boxes manually and plug that in. So while you can use it on existing workflows, I recommend it's almost easier to go and create new workflows most of the time for these, and let it sort of run through the whole workflow and then modify them as you may need to. But Sandy, if we set up a meeting to kind of talk through the difference between plans and timelines, we can also spend a little bit of time and go into more detail with the AI pieces. And if you have anything that you are interested in running through this, you can send them ahead of time, and we can make sure that we work on those as well too. Okay.
I probably just I think our next big workflow chunk will probably be when we start doing workflows for our EHR changeover. So we will probably need to start doing a lot of this. So we might be using some of our existing test scripts to get those workflows down, as well as maybe some of the vendor supplied scripts that we might need to put in there.
And that's what's so cool about this is vendors will give you a whole bunch of workflows, their model or foundational workflows of this is what we recommend you do, but it's in a format that not everybody can use. It's in a tool not everybody has access to. So if you can have somebody take those and import them into TransIT, then all of a sudden your entire team has access to them. And now they're in a workflow that can be immediately turned into a test script when you have finalized what those workflows look like. So I think this is going to be significant time savings, especially for things like an EHR changeover, where there's so many moving parts, and now the workflows are all standardized into one location. Sounds like you're going to be quite busy here pretty soon, Sandy.
Very much so.
Busier than usual.
I think it's just a different busy.
Yeah. Great questions. Thank you, Sandy. Any other questions from the group? As I mentioned before, over the next couple of weeks, there should be a pretty good number of enhancements that are going into projects, the project request pages. Almost all of that's driven by many of you and some of your feedback to us. So we really appreciate your continued support, your feedback. Really, that's how we know what we need to go work on next, is what you're telling us and what you're saying, your team's needs. So we really appreciate that. Continue to provide us with that feedback as you have it, because that is very important to us as well. Our next meeting will be August 21st, and we'll continue to show some new features and enhancements at that meeting. But between now and then, we will make sure that admins get notifications about changes, and we will make sure that we list them out in our newsletters as well. But if there's nothing else, I know we start to get into the summer, so people go out on vacations, people have kids out of school. So hope everybody has a fantastic summer, and we will talk later in August. Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.